So Adam Robitel, director of Escape Rooms, seems to be interested in directing a Saw movie sometime in the near future. Let's go over what he said and break it down in detail. Hey YouTubers, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. So as I said, Adam Robitel recently talked about the Saw franchise and whether or not he'd be open to doing one of his own. He said, "I love Saw. I'm a big fan of James Wan, having worked with he and Leigh Whannell. I wouldn't probably do a Saw movie, if only because it's their baby. I don't know if I could bring anything new to it. But look, I never say never. Make me an offer." And then he goes on to laugh. So this is pretty interesting, because one thing I said in my review over and over again is that Adam Robitel seemed to be making the best case possible to direct a Saw movie with making Escape Room. Of course, as I also talked about in a previous video, it felt like Escape Room did well enough at the box office to really build up and make itself its own franchise. Kind of the kid-friendly version of Saw. This is the PG-13 version, thrilling but not as scary or bloody or anything else like that. That's totally fine. The problem I have with that, as I went into that video, is that it's just a little too redundant. I mean, I don't really know how you continue the story after the way they ended the last film. This big organization with unlimited resources and has the uncanny ability to track everybody and know exactly what they're afraid of and what they're doing at all times. No one's going to overcome that. So maybe that franchise continues in an interesting way. Maybe you just have to drop all of the threads and just kind of allow it to be brought up in other sequels to the point where it's like, okay, we know we gave up too much from the first film, but we're going to kind of ignore all that for the second film and then maybe restructure it for the next couple films, because at a certain point it gets even beyond Bond villain type of menacing and cartoonish, and it just doesn't work in my opinion. Go check out that video if you want. Those are my thoughts and opinions about Escape Room, its ending, and the potential of a sequel for that franchise. But Adam Robitel doing a Saw movie, doing Saw 9. You know what? As I said in my review, I think that's a really good idea, something that I would gravitate towards, and I think a lot of Saw fans would as well. He has a vision to him, like even taking on the Insidious franchise, which, you know, with James Wan and Leigh Whannell directing not only the first 3 films and that franchise seemingly running out of steam, he took up that franchise, took Leigh Whannell's script and decided, okay, this is how we're going to do it, and this is how it's going to be shot. And The Last Key felt way more genuine and artistic than it had in a long time. And not throwing shade at Leigh Whannell or James Wan or anything else like that, but The Last Key felt like the most genuine passion project from a director since the first film. I know, throw shade at me all you want in the comments, but I really think it is the most memorable of the films, at least in terms of the way it was shot and structured, and just simply everything surrounding it, since at least the first film in that franchise. If he could do the same thing with the Saw franchise, that would be awesome. Do I think it's going to happen? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I've argued this in the past, and the thing I think they need more than anything for the next Saw film is someone coming back who's a name to the franchise. And I know we've had that time and time again. I mean, even Jigsaw had Kevin Groiter come back to edit the dang thing, but we didn't have anyone in the director's chair who had been there before and who knew the Saw legacy. I would love to see Leigh Whannell come back to direct a Saw film. I would love for one of the writers right now, as I've said, Josh Stolberg would be a really awesome choice because he actually knows the story that he's trying to tell, and I think he's been kind of building up a resume to be a feature film director sometime in the near future, and giving him a Saw film would be really interesting in my opinion. Of course, Kevin Groiter, if he's going to work with him at all, he's always there, and I'm sure, as I talked to him on this channel before, I think David Hackle would love to come back and direct another Saw film and give himself an opportunity to redeem himself after Saw 5, which a lot of Saw fans really bag on for no real reason. At the same time, they could probably maybe get Darren Lynn Bousman back. Maybe, I don't know. That would be really up there because I think he's said his piece with the franchise. He's directed more than anyone else, and I don't really see that happening. Leigh Whannell, that would be the most exciting thing for me because he's really shown himself as a capable director and always a capable writer for the last couple years. The last thing he even said about the Saw franchise outside of the promotion stuff for The Last Key was if he was ever going to come back, it was going to be something completely different and wholly his own, really revamp it and everything. Maybe he doesn't have an idea right now, but maybe there's some hope for that in the future, some kind of reboot or whatever. Adam Robitel, definitely with this last movie is an Escape Room, has shown that he has the chops to direct a Saw film, but do you want him? Tell me in the comment section below. Personally, with Saw 9, I would actually much rather prefer somebody who's actually directed a Saw film before or someone who's been working at least with the Jigsaw crew or someone else like that. Josh or Ben Knotts or somebody else who has experience there and working with it. But if they want an exciting name and they want someone who people are going to recognize and be excited about, at least visually, and maybe just, this guy's been directing really good movies, especially in the franchise genre, horror dynamic, or whatever you want to call it. This guy's been directing good movies, especially with the franchise horror films that he's done. Adam Robitel is probably a really good idea and maybe the person they need to be calling. So yeah, make him an offer, guys. See if he's interested in it. You know what I'm going to probably do, this is all just off the top of my head because I thought it was an interesting news story and I wanted to throw it out there. More than one upload today, so I'm not going to take a ton of time putting this one together, but I'm just going to talk to you guys just off the cuff and say, I don't know when we're going to be getting any announcements for Saw 9. I don't know who's going to direct it. I don't know what the story is. I have absolutely no idea. But if you want my informed, I don't know if you would call it informed, but if you just want my general, base knowledge guess about Saw 9, when it's going to happen and how fast it's going to come together, I would have to say we're going to start hearing things sooner rather than later. As you all remember, the Saw franchise is a franchise that went every single year from 2004 to 2010. They took a 7-year break, gave us Jigsaw, and now it's been around a little over a year from Jigsaw. But if they don't give us one in 2019, they're going to run into a big wall. Because if they wait until 2020, they can't do anything in October because Halloween 2 or whatever they want to call that movie is going to take over the box office. There's no way that Blumhouse isn't going to fast track that sequel, even though we don't have real information about that one yet. So they're going to end up waiting too long to actually do this movie. And we know, based off of rumors and speculation, but no real hardcore evidence, that Lionsgate is working on a 9th film. In fact, there was reports earlier, or at least midway through 2018, that Josh Stolberg and Pete Goldfinger were writing Saw 9 and that they needed to have that script done sometime within right now. I would imagine if they had started back then, back in April or something, that would be pretty much an over and done, close and shut. We're gonna get started on this movie sometime soon here in the moment type of situation right now at the very beginning of 2019. And I'm sure if that is the case, maybe, just maybe, they can throw it into production immediately based on everyone still being on contract and having the entire team back together after Jigsaw, that we can get it in 2019, maybe very late, sometime late October, or maybe, as I've speculated in the past, is it possible that we're gonna get a Jigsaw movie in January? Would that be a good place to put it after the success of Insidious: The Last Key? Kind of after the lull that was Insidious Chapter 3, going into The Last Key with Adam Robitel coming in, telling a unique story from Leigh Whannell, and really pushing that into new box office heights for that franchise. Maybe that's enough to prove to them that they don't have to keep with the October slate and they can do something completely different. Of course, if they really want to start revamping and revitalizing the Saw franchise, maybe having it in October isn't a necessary thing, because October, more than anything else, or at least as much as almost all the other staples of that franchise, was a part of the Saw brand. You know, if it's October, if it's Halloween, it must be Saw. And if they get away from that, if they're going to get away from the main story, if they're going to continue the story from Jigsaw and try to get more and more people who are kind of ready to write the Jigsaw or the Saw brand off, this would be the best way to do it. Of course, if they wait too long, they're going to have too much competition, especially with all these other big name horror movie icons supposedly coming back from the dead and being on the big screen sometime in the near future. We're not just talking about Final Destination from the Saw writers that we covered last night. We're also talking about maybe Freddy coming back sometime soon. Obviously, Michael Myers is going to be roaring back sometime in the next couple years. And then LeBron James is also bringing us another Friday the 13th movie. They have the Child's Play movie opening up this summer. And then there's just so many other things that they're going to start throwing at us in the next couple years that they have to get the ball rolling. And if it's going to be Adam Robitel, let it be him. Obviously, he has the creative chops to do a Saw film. An Escape Room, if you haven't seen it already, is definitely his cover letter. It is his proof of concept that he can do one of these movies and make it not only fun, but entertaining and just visually different enough to get new people on board. And I would be very surprised at this point if Lionsgate and Twisted Pictures aren't paying attention, trying to find someone to direct this next movie. So guys, I know that was a long video for what this actual thing is, but tell me in the comment section below, do you want him to come in? Do you want him to do the 9th film in the series? Do you want a director that we've already had before, or someone that's never done it but who has been a part of the Saw family for a long time? Tell me that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload, and go down to the description section below, hit that link, and follow me on Twitter so we can talk about this and so many other things so much easier over there. So I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. It's been real.